You're listening to the Simplified CEO, the podcast that shows you business does not have to be complicated. So grab a coffee, get comfy, and let's show you how you can get success in every area of your life the simpler way. Just before we jump into today's episode, I have to give today's sponsor a shout out. Now, you know, here on Simplified CEO, we are all about the simple life in business. And I know one of the main areas every entrepreneur wishes was simpler was the bookkeeping. Well, it can be with today's sponsor, Xero. This is an accounting software I have used for years, and honestly, it's made it so easy for me to keep a track of everything. It automates manual tasks, meaning I'm not losing hours to admin, and it can be done from anywhere using their fantastic mobile app. So if you're looking for a simpler way to keep on top of your bookkeeping, go and check out Xero today using the link in the show notes below for a special offer. Now let's get back to today's episode. Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Simplified CEO. I am super excited today because we have a lovely guest with us who is going to share her journey on becoming a simplified CEO and what that actually has meant for her. So Dani, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
So I know we just spoke briefly before I hit record, but you need to share that gold again. So tell us all about your journey so far into being an entrepreneur. Where has that taken you? What was the sort of mindset shift element that's got you to where you are today and having that CEO mindset?
So I was just sharing the fact that I have always called myself a bit of an accidental entrepreneur. I
Yeah.
just did a million and one things and got paid for it. It took me a long time to start seeing it as a business. I just enjoyed every part of what I was doing, that I found it really tricky to call it work.
Mhm.
But I guess long story kind of short, 7 years ago, I was in a very fast-paced corporate role. I worked in fashion in London. I was in the buying department. So I was a very small fish in a big pond. But I loved it because I loved the lifestyle and I loved the social aspect. And I've always loved fashion and I always loved the London dream. But I was always torn between wanting to just get married and have babies, because I'm an old school romantic at heart, and also growing an empire. So I massively respected, and I know this is going to come with some judgment, but I massively respected the Kardashians in those days because I loved the way she was a mum and she was always on her phone, but she was building a business and she really had that nice, from my perspective, juggle of having loads of kids and being at home, being present, but also wanting to grow an absolute empire. And I think I was always torn between those, which is why I guess my journey is one of it was very organic, my journey, because I didn't decide to do any of these things. They just kind of landed on my lap and I just rolled with it. But yeah, so basically 7 years ago, I was on mat leave when I started my first business with a friend. And we'd spent a year kind of working on this beautiful wooden toy business. So essentially it was a nursery decor brand. And I grew it predominantly through Instagram. So I was very self-taught in marketing, branding, and social media. And I just loved it. So I had a baby at home and essentially I had another baby at home and I was growing this business. And, soon enough, my husband said, right, are you going to get another job? Because, mat leave's over, because I just decided not to go back to the corporate life. So I got a part-time job in a luxury brand in Bicester Village for a few months. And then one of my stockists for my wooden toy business asked me one day what agency we use for our social media, because it's amazing. I love what you do. Who do you use? And at that point, 7 years ago, social media management wasn't really a well-known career, right? It wasn't really a job. And I was shocked because I didn't even know I was good at it, right? I was just doing something I loved every day. And I sort of said to her, like, no, it's not an agency, it's me. And then I do what I found that I
That's
always
such a
do.
compliment that they thought it was an
Right.
agency and you're
I
like, oh no.
know. I remember because I worked for Wolford at the time. It was a luxury lingerie brand in Bicester Village, and I was so bored, and I was just like leaning on the till as you do, and I was like on my phone when I got that message, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is my moment!" And I just sort of said to her, "Do you want to have a call? Should we chat and see if I can help you?" And it kind of felt like one of those moments when it's an out of body experience. Because on the outside, I was like, what the hell are you doing? You're not capable of that. You think you're an agency. And I was like, I will be an agency today. Okay.
I love that.
So, yeah, long story short, that kind of started my social media management role. And then I started collecting clients. And I still was growing Little Stories, the wooden toy brand. I was a social media manager. I then launched Dani Socials officially, which was my way of kind of bookmarking what I was doing and taking people on the journey. So I started an Instagram page. And I soon enough started doing branding and logos and brand design and Insta glow ups and anything creative. I was just doing it. And I also fell into the world of parties because I am that extra mum that does the extra parties for my kids. And one of my good friends is a balloon artist. So she had this amazing events company. And I just started doing the stationery. So soon enough, I was very, very busy. I had 2 kids under 3, and I was juggling about 4 or 5 businesses.
Wow.
And I worked all day long, every night. And I guess to my mum and my husband, I was insane and I wasn't making much money. And then something shifted, I guess, in 2024. Last year, I call it kind of my awakening year, where I stopped being an accidental entrepreneur and a very busy fool. And I decided to simplify what the hell I was doing and really
Mhm.
step into my path as such.
Love that. But so what happened in 24? Can you pin it down as to like
Yes, I
why you had that shift? Because this is such a great story and so many of us do that. We fall into I my story is actually quite similar to yours in that like I started the business just after maternity leave. I didn't want to go back to full-time employment. I did not have the mindset of a CEO at that point. It was literally, I just want to bring in a bit of money to
Yeah,
support my household. And it snowballed and it took me with it. So none of it was intentional in the
I love
beginning.
that.
So what was the shift for you that happened last year to make you realize, no, actually, I want to step into that CEO role and I want to really turn this into an empire, like you say, instead of just being that busy fool? What was the moment for you?
So for me, community is always everything, right? Making friends and meeting other women has always been a massive part of my journey. And I think the real shift happened when I was invited to a local networking event for
Mm.
mums in Bicester. And I was in this room with other women who were doing similar things, a lot better than me at the time. And I was like, oh my God, I was like proper imposter syndrome. But I guess it gave me that nudge that you can actually build an incredible business from home and do it properly. And that kind of started the shift. And I was soon introduced to the world of Lisa Johnson and One to Many. So that
Mhm.
would have been the true catalyst. But I guess in between the when I started networking with these women and going to these events, and you've got to introduce yourself in a circle, right? And
Yeah.
I hadn't done any networking at that point. I was like one of those shaky, shy. I hated it. It made me feel sick, but I had to sort of say, "Hi, I'm Daniela, and I do a million and one things." And they were all like, the reaction from the other women were a little bit like, "You're insane. What are you doing? You need to pick
Did
one."
you try and introduce, like, all of them in the
Of course.
60-second, yeah?
And I do this, and I do this, and I do that, and that's my business, and da, 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 and I've got 2 kids. And it just like, I think it was that moment where I held up the mirror, and I was in denial for a hell of a long time because I think I was just trying to prove to my husband and to everyone around me that this is amazing. This is a great idea. What do you mean? Like I'm working all the time. And I think a
Mm,
lot of people misunderstood me and expected this burnout to come. And I've since realized, who I am on that soul level, and I've understood my human design. And I just am a highly functioning generator. And I can pull energy from loads of places if I'm in alignment. So if I'm doing what lights me up, I can work all day and all night. But obviously, I knew that wasn't sustainable. And I actually got really excited about the concept of doing 1 or 2 of those things really, really well,
yeah.
rather than 5 or 6 of them as and when I could. So yeah, I was still a little bit rebellious. And I always say that I'm somebody that goes against the grains. If someone tells me to do something, I'm like, no, I'm good. And I think being told to pick one, I was so adamant that and I still believe we're multifaceted as women, as
Mhm,
humans, right? We can do more than one thing. I don't like the concept of niching or being known for something. I think we're all a personal brand and we have a human experience and we're allowed to be good at more than one thing. So I was always kind of going against that, but very quickly I knew the wooden toy business was what had to go because that essentially took all of my time and it just wasn't my passion anymore. I knew I'd created something really special because at that point we were in loads of amazing, like we were in Scandiborn and not on the high street in Etsy, and I'd grown the Instagram to 36,000 followers, and I had a group of brand reps and ambassadors and this whole small business community. But essentially I knew that I had grown all my other skills because of that, but now it's
mm,
time to really grow them and really see what I can do for other business owners and sort of use my story to help others. And I think I've always been very passionate about that.
mm,
So yeah, essentially I had to tell my business owner, my business partner, that I wanted to sell. So that was a very tough conversation in March last year, just before I started One to Many. Um, And we're still kind of in the thick of it now because I guess pride and ego got in the way and we just didn't let go of it when we should have. And I
Yeah.
know, bless her, she didn't want to let it go. And we're still really good friends and there was never any malice between us, but we were just on different pages. And like I just had to drop tools essentially. And when I dropped tools, everything kind of dwindled and stopped.
Yeah.
So of course the business has paused a little bit, but it's still there and I'm still kind of toying with what to do with it. But what was amazing for me was I was able to stop the party brand, drop tools on little stories, and really focus on Dani socials, which took its own direction and has kind of evolved really beautifully over the last year into, I guess, what I do now. But it's all really shifted when I could kind of give it that tunnel vision and learn how to do business, right? Because that's the beauty of one to many. You actually learn what CRM systems are and how to grow an email list and how to, do lead magnets and all that stuff that I wasn't doing. Like I didn't even have a website. So I designed my own website and I've been running that since, all this has started. And I've gone on my own little journey of what do I really want to do? Because like you said, I felt like I accidentally became a social media manager. Like I never
Yeah.
decided to. I just started doing it. And then I guess I had the really exciting opportunity to look back and think, hey, what do I really enjoy? Out of all the million and one things that I do for people, what do I want to do? Or where is my real gifts here? And because I guess it goes hand in hand with my spiritual journey, when I really learned and remembered who I was, and I got all this amazing validation and knowledge about my actual skill set, I then organically started doing those things. And then it all started to kind of fall into place.
Mhm. And this is the thing. I mean, you talk then about the wooden toy business was the one that you first realised that you had to let go. But we all evolve, right? And when you launched that business, that was what you needed and where your focus and energy and passion was in
Yeah.
your life. But over time, as we as people evolve and our needs, our passions and our skills grow and develop, then sometimes things that, it doesn't align with you anymore. And it's okay if to
Yeah.
pivot or to say goodbye and let things go. And I think sometimes I think what you said is so perfect, and a lot of people do this, is you hold on for things for too long. We
Yeah.
don't let go of things because either through fear that we don't know what's on the other side and whether it's gonna work out, or also just sort of dogged determination that you think,
Yeah.
"No, no, that's what my name is launched to, and that's what I need to spend my energy in." And actually, I think having the self-awareness to be able to realize that something isn't serving you and isn't right for you where you are in your life right now, it's kind of beautiful, and to be able to own it and to have that difficult conversation, because that must have been really difficult, especially if it came as a real shock to your business partner. But you've had that self-awareness to be able to release that from you so you can focus
Mm.
on your passions now and then give it that really lasered focus, which has served you perfectly, right? You've had an amazing, 12, 18 months now with
Yeah.
that focus.
Do you know one of the sayings that I must have heard years ago that really stuck with me through this process was letting go of something isn't failure. It's just realizing when it's no longer for you. And I think when
Exactly.
I was navigating all these thoughts, as soon as I kind of had that moment of clarity that that's what I had to step away from, I just felt this sense of relief
Mhm.
because I was giving myself permission not to see it as a failure and to be able to have a brand essentially that we could sell and give to somebody else felt really special because
Mhm.
we were in the middle of this industry of small business owners and there was brands and businesses shutting all the time, like past lockdown where we predominantly grew during lockdown because of course everybody was shopping online and supporting mum run businesses, especially on Instagram. But
Yeah.
after that a lot of business owners couldn't then deal with the demand or the decline when the high street opened. But for us we were able to stay consistent and that was something really special about what we built. So I was so proud of that journey and I knew what an amazing thing to be able to give to somebody else, because starting a business is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Getting the branding done and building a social media following, let alone the reputation and the toys themselves. We have this amazing package that we can now give to someone and say, there you go, it's ready, it's done, it's perfect, go sell, go grow it. And I kind of saw it as like, like when the birds leave the nest and we were like passing on the baton. And I was like, do you know
Yeah.
what? This is a really proud moment that we can actually hand this over to somebody who's got the energy, the determination, hopefully a little bit more business savvy knowledge than I did at the time, and to really get it where it needs to be, because I've always felt so passionate about that brand. Like what we had built should be in Selfridges, it should be in Harrods. Like it is a luxury premium toy brand that should be all over the world. And essentially we were two mums, and my business partner stayed in full-time work. So she's had a very busy, demanding full-time job. I went on that leave and never went back. So I always saw it
Right.
as, I never resented her. I understood it. And I had so much compassion that we just had different goals and different visions. I guess for her, she always saw it as something that she could do when she had 5 minutes. It would be an amazing Christmas market brand. For me, I'm like, this is world domination. Like, I want this brand everywhere. So soon enough, I guess it was really, and now in hindsight, it's quite important that I never let those different opinions affect our friendship.
Mm.
Because for a while, I guess I thought I was a bit of a mug, and I was a bit naive, and I was just, being exploited. But then I realized that's on me. Like, I chose to do a million and one things at a million miles an hour. And I've soon come to realize that not everyone can keep up with the Dani train. Like, we're fast. And just some people can juggle a lot of stuff at once. And I remember when she said, like, I don't know how you do it. And I was like, I don't know either, but it just seems to work. And I think that self awareness is really important when you realize it's not personal. Like, it is personal on one hand because we're all different, but it's not personal if other people can't do what you can do.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to realize not everyone thinks like me, or not everyone's built like me. And also to be proud of that, because I shied away from it. I thought there was something wrong with me. I was waiting for this ADHD diagnosis, which never came. And I was waiting for something to go wrong. But I think that's why my spiritual journey last year and doing all these, like root cause therapy and understanding my human design and understanding my soul gifts, essentially it gave me permission to be who I am. And
Mm.
for years, I was so afraid of judgment or criticism or being misunderstood. And now I'm like, do you know what? If someone wants to misunderstand me, that's absolutely fine. I get it. I would misunderstand me. From the outside, I probably look crazy. I probably look like somebody who wants to be friends with everyone. And I guess it comes as a shock to people when they realize that I am actually just that nice, right? And I think I realized that it's quite rare. And I've always been like this very excited puppy who just wants to be friends with everyone and just wants to help everyone. And a lot of people misjudge that and they misinterpret it. And I guess some people take my kindness for weakness. And then I
Mm.
essentially get a bit burnt. And I'm like, what is wrong with everyone? But I get it. Like, people don't know how to take me because they genuinely think I must have an agenda. I can't possibly want to cheerlead everyone the way that I do. I must, be some sort of like, I don't know really what they think, but I think it's taken me a while to realize that it's okay to be misunderstood, and it's okay to be different. And actually we have to go through our own mindset journeys, and essentially that is what becoming CEO is. You have to really step into that role. And that's why I love the law of attraction work that I do and manifesting. And it's all about visualization. You have to back yourself before anyone else will, because if
Yeah.
you don't believe you can, then you won't. And it's all in the mindset.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think what's really lovely is when you're talking about there is actually just owning it and realizing that if someone misjudges you or doesn't understand you, then that's okay. And that's something for them, not you. It's not going to impact, it can only impact your day or your energy if you let them
If you
step
let
in.
them, yes.
And I think it's so true that, especially as women in business, um, we struggle with confidence to really step into ourselves and sometimes to step into that CEO space and feel like we, one, deserve it, that we can, that we belong in that
Yeah,
mindset and that space. And society for forever has told us that it's not really a space for us and we need to be a certain way. And I think shaking all of that off and just being yourself is so powerful, so powerful. But it takes nerve and strength to push through the pain to really get into that space. And I don't know whether it's ever a journey that you actually get to an end of. I
no,
think there's always further work. I know
100%.
100% that I have changed so much in the decade that I've been in business. I was so afraid of everything and so lack of self-belief in the very beginning. And like I said, I didn't expect any real success. It was just needed this little bit of income to support the household. Um, and in fact, we actually only gave it, me and my husband agreed, because we weren't rolling in it. My maternity pay had come to an end, and we said, okay, we've got 6 months for you to be able to be bringing
Wow.
in this amount of money. And if you're not at that point, then we're going to have to sort of reassess and you're going to have to get a job. And it took me 6 weeks to
Wow.
be bringing in that money.
Amazing.
And it's through those experiences that you think, "Oh, okay, well, maybe there is something in this. Maybe I do have something that the world wants and needs,"
Yes.
and through the experiences, but I was so uncomfortable every day of those early days in business, and I had to push through it constantly. And the more that you do that, then the more comfortable you are, because you know that whatever is on the other side of that comfort zone, you'll be okay and you'll succeed in it. And that's where the confidence in it isn't necessarily in the experience or in the thing that you're trying to push yourself to do, because you've never done it before. So you're not going to be great at it the first time. And this goes for absolutely every step in business. But it's just having the confidence in yourself to experience it, to put yourself through it. And I think that's so vital. And having the confidence that you've had through your journey, even when other people doubt you or misunderstand you and take advantage, it's a common one. And
Mm.
especially, I'm a real empath, so people can abuse that, I suppose, to some degree. My husband always says, "You're too trusting, you're too nice," but
Yeah.
I don't think you can be too
No.
nice. Like, it's not a thing for me, and I would much rather, and there has been moments where I've been really burnt and you think, "I'm gonna toughen up, I'm gonna change, I'm not gonna let that happen again." But that's not me. I don't
Love
want to
that.
be toughened by the
You know
world.
what? I've literally had that realization this week, and I've felt like, and I've always felt like this, whenever I try and go against my own natural path, whenever I try to do something, it doesn't work. And then I have to go back into this space of knowing and that inner confidence of you are exactly who you're supposed to be. You need to lean more into that. It's not about forgetting or changing, it's about remembering, right?
Yeah.
And for me, recently, or I guess this entire year, I've been navigating my shadow sides. Essentially, that's the parts of you that you don't like and the parts of you that you know that you have kind of created some bad habits, or sometimes it's past life, sometimes it's childhood, all the trauma, right? All the little things that have affected you. I
Mhm.
had to work through a hell of a lot of stuff. And essentially, I'm glad that I've not lost the bit of me that is too over trusting. And now I'm just going to own it and say, I will take everyone as face value. I will be your best friend until I see a reason not to. And I would
Mhm.
much rather live my life seeing the good in everybody and then being burnt because I know I can deal with it and I can handle it. And unfortunately, that's on them. But I don't want to go into a situation where I'm like, don't trust anyone. Everyone's got an agenda. I cannot bear the thought of a world where you go into any situation being that protective. Like, I always overshare. I love wearing my heart on my sleeve. I love making people feel confident and comfortable to share with me. And I can't change that. And I think it's funny when you look at your parents. And this is the realization that I've had this last week, because my dad, bless him, like, he's Italian. He left home when he was 18. He moved to England. And he will always say, don't trust anyone. Like, like, literally last week, he said to me, like, be careful. And I'm like, of what, Dad? Like, literally every day I would leave the house growing up, he would say, love you, have a good time, be careful. And always I'm like, be careful, be careful. But then on the flip side, I've got my mum, and she is genuinely the most selfless person you will ever meet. And when I gifted her a human design reading, it literally said it in black and white. She has no self channels. She does not know how to put herself first. And it makes
Mm.
sense. It gave her the validation that is why she feels quite, like she will suffer at the hand of others because she doesn't get what she needs. But essentially, she doesn't know how to get it herself. And I've had to teach her, and I've had to say, Mum, this is on you. Like, no one's coming to save you. You need to look after your own mental health, your own well-being, your own mindset. You
Yeah.
have to now try and learn to be a bit selfish, but she just can't. And I guess now that I'm in this position in my career, I can look at the upbringing that I've had and realize that I'm in quite a nice little space in the middle of loving everybody and wanting to be everyone's friend because it's nice to be nice and it's important to be kind, but also this discernment that I had to grow into. That is my dad's way of seeing the world. Life is shit. Don't trust anyone. And bless him. Like, now I think, he's a bit more playful with it. But essentially, he's had a really tough life where he's had to prove himself and he's had to work his ass off, like most of the adults and most men in the generation above us, right? They didn't, like, he didn't come to Italy with from Italy with qualifications, so he had to be self-taught, and he had to have
Mm.
loads of jobs at once so that we could have central heating. And my mum would say, when she had babies at home, we had no heating at home, my dad would have to learn over books how to do the plumbing and how to install stuff. So, like, his hard graft has given him quite a tough exterior, that I guess has affected the way that I see people, and I really have an empathy for journey and struggle and determination. And then on the other hand, my mum, I just want to help people and be nice and have a nice chat and compliment people. And it's just it doesn't have an agenda. It's just who I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice when you've said that. There's no point trying to toughen up, because essentially we're here to be like that for a reason. Imagine if everyone in life was tough.
Yeah.
Imagine if everyone walked around with these barriers on. Like, I don't mind getting wounded sometimes, and I don't mind, recently I felt a bit like a wounded animal. And, you have to deal with stuff sometimes that really does penetrate, and you feel so emotionally scarred by things. But then you realize that essentially I have to have gone through that so that I can now support others. And I
Mhm.
don't mind having a few wounds or having some of those stories, because I know my mindset is strong and I can navigate it in a way that will inspire someone else. Because a lot of people will say to me, like, how do you think like this? I'm like, well, once this happened and then I sort of thought of it like this and now da da da. And then I think, God, how special is that to be able to use your lived experiences to support and mentor others who might not have that same outlook?
Yeah. 100%. This is the experience that I've had almost to a T, really. I've been through a lot in my life, and a lot of people through the years have always said to me, "I don't know how you've stayed so positive. Like, how do you?" Because I am known. I'm a positive Polly. I own it. I love it. I always look. It's all rainbows and butterflies in my world. Um, but why would I not? Why would I let the darkness in,
Yeah.
and help and allow that to penetrate? It's not who I want to be, and the experiences that I've had have made me who I am today. So really, I can only, look at them in a positive light, that without them, I wouldn't be who I am. And
Yeah.
I read this just hit me so powerfully the other day, this saying that it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice.
I
And I was
love
like,
that.
oh my God,
Yes.
that is it. Yeah,
That's it. That is so
loved it.
it. I say it's nice to be nice,
Yeah.
because sometimes people miss, kind of, what's the word? You underestimate how much that will shift, like a
Mhm.
day for someone or an opportunity for someone. And I always think about the expression, if you can do. So if you can do it, just do it. And I
Yeah.
think in business it's been really hard, because of course we're taught by amazing strategists, right? Do not trade all your time for money. Create passive income. And I'm like, I don't mind working hard. Like, what? And then you have to find your own flow with it. And I think
Mhm.
obviously it's like with everything, take what you need and leave the rest, right? We don't have to completely morph into sheep. Someone says do something, you don't have to do every single thing that they say. And I think we can learn from people in all walks of life, whether it's someone you bump into in the shop or it's some strategist you've paid to learn from. There's loads of life lessons. And when you can kind of add them all together and create your own version of success or your own version of how to do business, like, that's where that true kind of peace of mind and happiness comes from. And essentially, I just want to help other people live a happy life and just be happy. Like, life is so short and the world can be quite difficult. And, if you can just enjoy every single day and you wake up and realize how much of a blessing it is to live the life that you live and to be able to be the creator of your life, because essentially that's what I believe. Like, you have everything in your power to work through everything, whether it's mindset, situation, career, anything. You have
Mhm.
to go on a hell of a lot of a journey, and some people have a harder time than others. But essentially, you are the creator of your life. You get to choose. So you get to choose how you respond and how you react. You get to choose the actions that you take. You essentially get to choose whatever your day or tomorrow looks like. But you have to make that choice to back yourself and go through that sticky mud bit to push through. And I guess luckily, and I always say, like, I get it. I come from a privileged background or a privileged, personality. Maybe it is a blessing that I'm just like this naturally. But if I can help others learn the skills and the tools to become more like this, then essentially that's a way to help others by being my natural self. Because yes, I do wake up in the morning grateful to be alive and excited just to go for coffee, or I find those beautiful moments in everything. And I've never been that person, and that's a lot to do with my mum's upbringing, because she is the definition of glass half full. Like,
Mm.
we just always have been able to see the positive in every situation. And of course, I've had to learn when not to try and fix things, because some people just want to sit in the shit for a bit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And
Some people
sometimes
don't
you have
want
to
the
hold
help.
space. Yeah. And I've learned that a lot. And, I will always be that safe space to talk to and offload. And if you just want to sit in the shit for a bit, I'll sit there with you silently. But as soon as you invite me to help you, I am all in, giving you advice and positive nuggets and being a posy polly, because I love that expression as well.
Yeah.
It's essentially, that's what we're here to do. We're here to help each other. We're all here to serve one way or another. So when you can, combine your personality and I guess your personal calling and all that human stuff with business, and you can really merge that together, I guess that's when selling becomes easy, right? Because you realize I'm just serving, I'm just offering a service and I'm sticking a price on it. And yeah, I think that's like where the true CEO mindset comes from, when you have to really step into owning that you
Yeah.
are here to serve.
One word that you just said repeatedly, which is so powerful, is "I get." And I love this because this was actually probably one of the biggest shifts for me, was when I realized I get to do
Mm,
whatever it is, not I have to. And I
yeah,
use that now in every day. If I've got to go to the gym, you know, I don't have to go to the
I love
gym, but I
that.
get to go to the gym. I
Yeah.
get to take my daughter to school. I get to have that really tough meeting at work. I get to do all of it, and I get to choose whether I do it or not. So bring in the elements that bring you joy, and
Mm,
don't, if it doesn't align with you or your bigger vision or purpose, then don't. You have that choice. But one thing I really wanted to ask you about, and you've spoken about it a little bit, is social media, and especially Instagram for you. I know that this is a big pain point for people, and some people just seem to get it and love it and find it really natural, like you said that you do, and other people find it the biggest struggle in their business. So, how can you simplify it and take away that struggle? Because it is really important. When I first launched a business 10 years ago, it wasn't a thing. You didn't really market your business on social media. So it's definitely something that I've had to learn and adapt as I've gone through. How can you make it authentic and make it sound like you, and really show yourself and your brand on social media, but with ease, without it feeling like it's taking, days, a week for you to achieve?
love this question. So I've always got so excited when anyone asks me about Instagram, because I call it my playground. But the main thing I help all my clients with, essentially the very first thing I say to them is, you love what you do, right? You enjoy your business. You love who you are and what you're out here to do. Just talk about that. Like, it's as simple as that. Just share your story because you enjoy what you've created. And of course, if there's parts of the business they don't enjoy, that's when it comes up. And usually what I have found, and if any woman in business is struggling with their visibility, it's because something is not quite right. And there is
Mm,
something that we need to work on, whether it's messaging or pricing or positioning or even complete businesses. Like, I've been found to rip businesses apart and like rebuild them to perfection, right? Because I can see something's not quite right. And that's always a massive block. And essentially, social media is a stage, right? You are stepping onto a stage, you're stepping under the spotlight. It's a very vulnerable place to be. So I totally get that. And that's why I've attracted a lot of spiritual clients, because, of course, they suffer with the witch wound. I can't quite possibly speak about what I do because I'll get burnt at the stake, which, of
mm,
course, in this day and age, you have got freedom of speech. Yes, there's this fear of trolls, but it's very, very unlikely and it's very rare. And I'm here to help people essentially in business to change the world one Instagram account at a time. Because I just think if you start showing up for you and you share your personal story, because essentially it's storytelling through social media, you're just showing up and you're sharing, how did I get to where I've got to? What is my business? What do I love about my business? What do I do in my business? What do I sell? How do I help people? And then we create content pillars and series to talk about that. So every Monday, I invite them all to talk about you. So it's Meet Me Monday. And it doesn't have to be about business at all, because social media was intended to socialize. And we all know we buy from people and we're nosy by nature. And you just got to let people in. So on a Monday, I say, just share something, whether it's what you did on the weekend or whether it's a story from 25 years ago, whatever it is, let them in and share something about you, the business owner. So this is why I'm passionate about working with personal brands, because I believe you are your walking sales page. Like, who
mm,
you are essentially as a person is your business. And that's why I'm passionate about networking or podcasting or, being who you are 24/7. You have to be authentic because that mask slips and the real you comes out. So there is no point pretending to be something you're not online, because when somebody meets you for real, it'll be a bit embarrassing when they're like, whoa, she's not who she says she is online, or
yeah,
her energy is so off. And I just think this year, especially, just to tap into the spiritual stuff, where we're going into this Aquarian age, it's well known that we're being a lot more discerning with energy now, right? We can read energy. We go online and you can see if somebody is fighting against something, and you can read a sales page and you're like, oh my God, this is icky. This is money, money, money. Like, you can just feel it.
Yeah.
So I support women in business to just show up as their true authentic self through storytelling, through taking the pressure off. Stop looking at the algorithm or reels or trending audio. Stop trying to do it all, because it is overwhelming and noisy. All I'm asking you to do is talk about yourself. And we just do it in those little simple steps. But essentially, what I've had to realize this year is not everyone is good at Canva. Not everyone's confident at content. Not everyone even knows how to share a reel or post to their story or upload a link. All these things is where I come in and I say, just leave it to me. Send me your Canva link, I'll do it. So now what I do in my membership is I will do their branding, their Insta glow ups as such. So you get your templates, your highlight covers, your story templates, your reel templates. And if they're struggling, I'll just go in and do it for them. So I've got a client who, it was really funny because she screenshot a card that her client sent her and she just posted it. And I was like, what the hell is that? And she goes, oh my God, don't shout at me, Dani. And I was like, why don't you just send it to me and say, Dani, I want to post this. How should I post it? So of course she quickly deleted it, sent it to me. Within 10 minutes, I'd gone into her Canva. I created her a template. I uploaded the card, and essentially she had a beautiful on-brand post to then share. And it looks so much better on her grid. And I think I had to step into my obsession with aesthetics and understanding that actually this whole done is better than none has got a place. But also, let's try and be the best we can be, shall we? Like, let's actually try and make our brands look beautiful. And if you can't do it, outsource. Nobody's expecting everybody to be able to create beautiful content on Canva. Not everyone's expected to know how to use Instagram, but there are opportunities out there, or there is Dani's membership, where I can help you. Because essentially I was just seeing a lot of not very great content. And I was like, no wonder you don't like showing up on Instagram. Look at what you just shared. Like, what is going on? And I do think there's something quite humbling about realizing that, if you want to be confident and if you want to really own this CEO space on the internet and you want to be known to be the expert in your field, it has to bloody look good. There is no point throwing anything out and be like, oh, I hate showing up on Instagram. Nobody comments. Nobody likes it. And I'm like, I wouldn't like it. And do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes we need a bit of tough love. And of course, I don't say this to my clients, but I say, let's work together. Let me do your branding. Let me create you some beautiful graphics that you feel so proud to post. Because essentially that is going to shift your energy. And that's where I work. I work in this realm of energy where I truly believe that you need to higher your frequency to become that version of yourself, to step into your higher self. And we don't get that by doing mediocre, right? We don't get that by just flinging stuff out there. Instagram isn't that place. You can easily show up on Facebook and just share a photo of, you sat in your pajamas or your dressing gown or whatever, your messy living room. You can do that. Of course you can. And that's where I love Instagram, because it's the middle ground in the middle, right? You can be that authentic, real business owner. And I show up with no makeup on in my dressing gown all the time on my stories, which disappear after 24 hours. Or I will do a talking reel. But alongside that, you've got beautiful graphics. You've got my branding, so you can see what I'm about. And obviously for me, it's difficult because I'm a brand designer. So if I was putting out shit branding, obviously I wouldn't be very good at my job. But essentially I've used all that part of me to help people in business to have beautiful brands that have that perfect middle ground, show up as the authentic human and show who you are and what you love and what brings you joy, and then have a bit of a professionalism around it, because you wouldn't treat your website with the same respect you would your socials. So try and align those two, and that's where the real kind of confidence comes from. And on one hand, that expression, fake it till you make it, as much as I don't agree in the concept, there's something about it that makes sense. And that's why I guess I love law of attraction and manifesting, because there is so much power in just deciding to be that person. You just decide one day, this is who I am now. I do X, Y, and Z. And you just do it. So it's like you just show up on Instagram as if you're already that successful CEO woman that you're going to be if you carry on doing this.
Yeah.
Of course, there's that concept that there's no real time, right? Time is an illusion, and we're already that thing. We just need to align everything to get there. And I love that concept.
Yeah. With social media, I think there's steps to it, right? Isn't there?
Yeah.
So in the very beginning, it is just get something out, just start
Yeah.
a habit of posting. But it's that 1% every day, isn't it? If you can
Yeah.
just tweak something and then, yeah, start looking at the graphics and actually improving them. And that sounds an amazing service from you because in the beginning, oh my God, my Canva game was bad, like so bad. Um, but it takes time and energy to move and the clarity to understand exactly what it is that you're actually wanting to get out there. But probably my biggest lesson when it came to social media is it used to take me, the white staring at the blank white page. Oh, I used to really struggle with that. And I'd be
Yeah.
staring. It could take me an entire day to
Yeah.
write a post. But actually, the more you build the habit of posting, suddenly you're not having to look so hard because ideas jump out at
Content
you. And
just
then
jumps out. Exactly.
that was probably the biggest eye opener to me was suddenly
Mm,
I was seeing content ideas everywhere,
amazing.
whereas before it'd take me a day to just come up with
Yeah.
something that was mediocre at best. So building the
Because
habit,
you
I think is
overthink it, right? So that's
yeah,
the other thing. It's always overthinking. And I
yeah.
think a lot of what I teach is removing the pressure of the outcome. So what I teach within my community is we don't care for the likes. We're not posting for a result. We're posting to show up in that moment for who you are and what you want to post. We're doing
Love
it for
that.
you first. So
Yeah,
that removes that pressure because of course social media, I've been there. We're all like that. We post and we wait for the likes and the comments and the shares and nothing comes. So
yeah.
I've just removed that pressure and I've also given each other. So essentially within my community, I prompt everybody to send in their Instagram posts via the link so that everyone can go and comment and like. So when you feel like you've got a group of cheerleaders waiting in the wings to comment and like, it makes you feel a lot more confident about posting because you're
Mm,
not posting into the abyss, right? But removing the pressure on the vanity metrics is a massive part of why I started my membership in the first place, because I was realizing that that's the biggest part of where people's struggles were. They were chasing followers. And essentially, there is no point having 3,000 followers if nobody's going to buy from you.
yeah.
And I've always said, and in all my sort of training and webinars, I always talk about this analogy that I say, when you walk into a party and 10 people get up to hug you, you would feel so good about that. You would hug them back and you'd be so grateful for every single hug. What is wrong with 10 likes? 10 people liking my posts. I love that. And obviously social media and the way the world has shifted, we're always looking for the next big thing and, thousands of followers and millions of followers and reach and going viral. And I'm like, oh my God, we've gone crazy. Like essentially,
Yeah.
5 people commenting on my post is amazing. And like, I try and remind people of that because as soon as I say it out loud, they're like, oh, yeah, you're right. And I'm like, well, duh, what is going on? Like, why have we missed that?
People never make the connection though. They don't put it into the real world anymore. Like you say,
Yeah.
if you were in a room and 10 people stand up to give you a hug, then that feels great. But
Yeah.
online, we just put it into the
Detached.
abyss.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
think
that's
it's
what
really
I want people to
important.
be more mindful of, that there is a human being behind every single account that you follow. And
Yeah.
that's why I share, what I encourage them all to do is to engage. Like, you are here to socialize. You cannot sit there in victim mode and say, nobody comments on my stuff. And then when I say, how many posts have you commented on? You say, no, I'm never on Instagram. And I'm like, so hold on, you walk into a bar, you get a drink, and then you just leave? Like, that's not what it's for. You're supposed to hang out. You're
Yeah.
supposed to have fun. You're supposed to make friends. Like, let's socialize. And that's where the real magic comes, which is why I love talking about organic networking through Instagram and actually replying to stories and having conversations. And you have to get out of your head. You cannot be, sliding into the DMs selling, right? It's not about cold DMing. It's about creating connections with people
Mhm.
so that when you do drop an offer or when you do say in conversation, by the way, we were speaking about da, 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 da last week. I've just dropped this thing. Do you want to have a look at it? Like, it's more natural. And I think people get so scared about talking about your business without selling your business. Like, you can unintentionally sell. And I guess that's the sweet spot between socializing on social media and having a business account. Because when you combine the two, that's where the real growth is, because your
Yeah.
followers are your clients, they are your audience. That is building a community. And then essentially, when you do post, they will naturally by default want to like and comment because they have great chats with you all the time and you're friends now. So why wouldn't you share and support your friends?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. So if people are wanting to start building that relationship with you, Danny, how are they gonna find you on Instagram? What's your handle?
So I am now Dani Devren. So just my name. Recently, I changed it. I did a bit of an extra reclaim my name thing because I was Dani Socials. And then the amazing Lisa Johnson at Strategy Day at her house said, Dani, you need to stop hiding behind social medias. It's more than that now. And I was like, oh my God. So anyway, I reclaimed, but now I'm just Dani Devren. So you can find me, and I'd love to hear from anyone, and actually drop me a DM and say, I just listened to your podcast and I want to say hi. Because I'm always open for just having a chat. And I love to invite people on a Zoom call one-to-one just to share your story, and just know that there's no agenda. If you want to work with me, that's a bonus, but I just want to make friends, right? And I think that's the true power of community. If we get to know each other, we can recommend each other. And that's where that true organic authenticity is.
Love that. And is there a link that I can share in the show notes for the membership if people want to find out more about that?
Yes, of course. I will send you the link. So my membership is called Find Your Insta Joy. And of course, it does what it says on the tin. I'm there to help you enjoy showing up on social media and enjoy joining me in this mission, essentially, where we're going to change the world one Instagram account at a time.
Yes, joy is one of my favourite words of all time. Dani, thank you so much for joining me today. That's been such a beautiful conversation. And thank you to all of the listeners for joining us again this week. I hope you have got so many glimmers from that like I have. I will put all of the links in the show notes so you can get into Dani's world and spend some more time with her. And I will see you all next week. Have a great week.
Thank you. Bye.
I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you are ready to make your life simpler, then don't forget to check out today's sponsor, Xero, the accounting software that is ready to supercharge your business by automating routine tasks, giving you quick access to your financial data, and helping you get paid up to twice as fast using their online invoice payments. So if you are ready for a simpler way to keep on top of your bookkeeping, go check out Xero today. Get their special offer using the link in the show notes below.